Welcome to One-on-One, the Daily Items weekly digital program featuring Susquehanna Valley newsmakers interviewed by Daily Item reporters. Today's guest is artist Bobby Gorby, interviewed by Justin Strawser.
The Sunbury Motor Company.
Austin Martin, Kia Elite Sales Consultant, Maranatha Christian School.
Amber Wren, Certified Hyundai and Lincoln Sales Consultant, Selinsgrove Area High School.
Ian Chakosky, Certified Ford Sales Professional, Mount Carmel and Shamokin area.
Christopher Stengline, Ford Certified Sales Consultant, Selinsgrove Area High School.
Tom Mertz, fourth generation owner, Sunbury Motor Company, Shikellamy High School.
A tradition of trust since 1915.
Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Justin Strawser. Our guest today is Bobby Gorby, who hosted a workshop at the 6th annual Plein Air event on April 28th. Thanks for joining us today, Bobby.
Thank you. Thanks
nice
for having
to see
me.
you.
Thank you.
So, the Maryland Conservancy and the Lewisburg Art Council hosted this event. They hosted this workshop at the Dale Engel House, and then all that work is going to be displayed at the Public Library for Union County.
Correct, yeah.
All during the month of June.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess, first of all, can you tell me exactly what it means when we say plein air?
Yeah, plein air is it's a term that was used in the it's a term that was adopted in the early late 1800s, mid to late 1800s, taking the painter studio and taking it outside.
Okay.
Is what more sunlight. It's basically, if I was to draw an analogy, it's you've got a studio band, a band that plays in the studio for a recording. And then you've got a live band. So it's a good analogy for a painter moving outside into the environment and painting all those ambient colors that you see in nature.
Okay. And is that a French? You said yesterday when we talked on the phone, I think you said it was a French term.
Yeah, it's a French term. Plein air. It's a French. The French have a lot of terms. They got plein air. You've got atelier, which is another French term, which is a term for the studios that are up and coming in the country here. You've got every city has an atelier. It seems like now almost one or two.
What does that mean?
Now ateliers are studios that are opened up by a professional painter, and the professional painter will give classes in life drawing, life painting, still lifes, painting and drawing the human body.
Okay.
And plein air classes as well.
So is the biggest difference between plein air and, say, regular painting is just that it's inside versus outside, or outside versus inside?
Correct, yeah,
okay.
Correct. That's exactly it.
So does that present any different or unique challenges
Absolutely.
Compared to being inside?
Absolutely.
What are those?
Flies, bugs, sand, wind, air, sun, people. Yeah, it's a lot of challenges, and those are good challenges. Though I've had times when I've painted on the beach, and a good gust of wind comes by and blows my whole palette upside down. So I've got sand in my palette. So I just kept painting. I said, well, I'm on the beach, might as well put some sand in.
So you adopt whatever happens
you adapt
into
to
it?
Whatever
is that part of it, or is that just your part of it?
That's part of it. You just adapt to the changes. You could have a wonderful scene right there you're painting, and all of a sudden a nice cloud rolls over the sun, and you have to give it a pause for a moment, let that cloud roll back away, and then get back to those nice warm colors that you see, those nice and warm colors.
Do you keep the bugs and the ladybugs and the mosquitoes? Do you pick them out, or do you keep them in?
Authenticity. Just leave them in there.
Okay,
sure,
okay.
Why not?
All right. So that's the biggest challenges for plein air then.
Yeah.
What are some other things that you talked about at the workshop?
Yeah, I talked about composition, value, edge, and shape, limited color palette.
Okay.
Using, oftentimes we'll see a beginner painter would see a slew of 60, 70 colors, and my job was to hone that down to a scope of maybe 5 colors and getting those 60 to 70 colors possibly out of the limited color palette. So,
do you prefer plein air, or are you?
It's essential. It's essential. It's actually vital for an authentic It's like Miles Davis and Herbie Hancock playing a tune and playing off of each other and enriching each other's sound.
All right.
That's exactly what I think a plein air event or a plein air session is like. You are experiencing in life, true at that moment, all the colors you see and you perceive at that time.
So where are some places that you go out and do this?
I go out.
You personally?
Personally, I like to go out to. I just moved. I'm a transplant here. I've been living here for about 4 years now. Bridges, right now, presently Bridges, farm scenes, churches. They're beautiful. Some beautiful old churches around here. The Susquehanna River, the Lewisburg Bridge, the old Lewisburg Bridge. I've got some parks around town, and I'm always looking for new places.
Do you have any other styles or techniques that you like to use in your artwork?
My favorite painters are Diego Velázquez and Joaquin Sorolla, some great Spanish painters. But as I'm learning more about this genre of painting, I'm learning more about painters that aren't celebrated, that are fantastic in their own right. So I'm always learning about new painters and what they have to bring to the table.
So we always hear about how art programs are getting cuts or they're getting being reduced and not funded properly. Tell me, what's the biggest reason you think that schools and other organizations need to keep these programs?
They need to keep them because they enrich people's lives. I think the reason why they're cut is because they're not bringing the money into that said school. Football programs, athletic programs bring a little bit more money to sell more sports gear, and or they have more funding coming to it for that. Arts is purely, it can be in some cases, a solitary event. You've got painting, which is a solitary event, but then you also got music, and music's not and that can, you could have, I don't know, I think it's kind of a sad situation. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that Lewisburg does have funding for their arts department.
We're always covering. I haven't lately, but we're always covering school board meetings where they talk about, we can't afford X in the budget, so we got to cut something, and you see the music department come in and so there's like 50 to 60 students who come in and appeal to the school board and whatnot. So it's definitely a sad situation.
It
sometimes.
Is absolutely. My brother's a musician, so we were lucky enough to go to high schools that supported that the arts. So
okay, well, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Bobby Gorby.
The Sunbury Motor Company.
Austin Martin, Kia Elite Sales Consultant, Maranatha Christian School.
Amber Wren, Certified Hyundai and Lincoln Sales Consultant, Selinsgrove Area High School.
Ian Chikuski, Certified Ford Sales Professional, Mount Carmel and Shamokin area.
Christopher Stengline, Ford Certified Sales Consultant, Selinsgrove Area High School.
Tom Mertz, fourth generation owner, Sunbury Motor Company, Shikellamy High School.
A tradition of trust since 1915.
Welcome back to One on One. Again, we're here with local artist Bobby Gorby. Before we get into some of your artwork here, you mentioned that you were a transplant to the area.
Yeah.
Where do you come from? How did you end up here in the Susquehanna Valley?
It's a beautiful place. I came from Orlando, Florida, but before that, San Diego and New York City. I've been on the move a lot. I met my wife in New York City, and her family's from this area. So I took a trip up here with my French easel, and I took a week vacation up here. I had my French easel. I made 5 paintings in 5 days.
Do you remember the first? What was the first one you ever made for the area?
It was the Winfield Church, the Shriners Church. That's yeah.
Why did you just drove by it and you liked how it looked?
It was gorgeous. The thing was, it was sunset, and oftentimes when you pick a scene out to paint, you pick a singular thing. You're like, that's amazing. You pick a singular event in that scene, and you're like, that's fantastic, and you hold on to that for the rest of the painting. And so for me, it was that church and the headstones that were surrounding it along the slope of the hill, and then the blue horizon there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, speaking of local places that you've painted, you brought this one in here today.
Yeah.
and this is of the campus theater up in Lewisburg, right?
Right. Yes. Correct. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your inspiration here.
Well, this is another one that I had painted on that trip. This is also another one. This is the campus theater. My father-in-law, who's from this area, said, "Well, if you're going to paint Lewisburg, you got to put a lamp in there."
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
their lamps are unique. So I said, "You know what? I'm going to put a lamp in there, but I don't want to just put a lamp in there. Why don't I have it play off of something?" So I had it play off of the campus theater. I thought this would make a good composition, and that's key in a good painting is composition. I've got a nice frame of the tree around here, along with the two lights playing off of each other. Now this you could argue is the star of the show, but I would say that's the star of the show because of the amount of value I put on that compared to the value.
Is this a plein air? An example of plein air?
No, this is a plein air. This is a painting from a study or a plein air painting that I had done of the scene.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So you brought another one here with you. You want me to?
Yeah.
Lift this up here. So tell me about this one here.
Now this one is my brother. This is in New York City. This is my brother who went to Juilliard there for music, for Oregon, and I had him. I was there as a traveler there, and I had him pose in the snow for me. So we both froze a little bit. Now this is a study. This is also from a larger piece from a study that I had done of him, and it's right there in Central Park. You can see this is the avenue. What's that avenue there on the west, on the east side of Central Park? Yeah, I think it's Park Avenue. I don't know.
It might be.
I can't remember. But this is going down into that main area in Central Park.
So why did you bring these two particular pieces in today? What is
these
about
two? These two, because I like doing portraits and I like doing landscapes. I like doing both, so I have a balance. I brought these two to kind of show. I enjoy doing a good portrait as much as I enjoy doing a good landscape. They're both, people and landscapes are both, interesting subject matter.
So you've been involved, you're involved with the Lewisburg Art Council, and any other organizations like that then?
No,
okay.
That's it.
What's your role with them?
I'm just a member. I'm just a member. I recently joined. I did that plein air event over the weekend, and I've gone to every single event that they've had there at the Walker House there. Every plein air event, and that really is a great thing that they're doing, because it's not just me, but every year they have another painter. And this year it's my turn, or it was my turn. But every year they have a painter come in and basically show the ropes of how they approach the subject matter and bring to the table their trials and tribulations as far as what they do to achieve a painting outside.
And you're also you have displays of your artwork at the Lewisburg Art Council every year. So since you've been here, or not the Art Council? No. Sorry, Art Festival.
Yeah, Art Festival. Now the Art Festival, no. Okay. Last year I was in the Emerging Artist tent.
Okay.
Because I was a part of a collective of people there.
That I think is really neat. I covered that maybe 2 years ago when we first introduced it.
It is really cool. It's a really cool way, and the class that they give, which is like a 6-hour class. You would think, oh man, this is going to be a long class, but it was a fantastic. Every segment was interesting that they brought to the table. Every little facet of doing a festival was pretty interesting to me, and so this year as well for myself.
How often do you get that phrase of, I love what you do, but I can never do it? I can't draw or I can't paint. Do you get that often?
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
What is your typical response to something like that?
I think as kids, we all are drawing as kids, and it's fascinating. I think, not to get too long of an answer, but I think as kids, we have such an imagination, and we sit there and we draw whatever we want to draw, and there's nobody to judge us on that. So I think we all start out in life with that ability to draw, and then some stick with it and some don't. So.
I definitely doodled as a kid and wrote a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I dabble every now and then in a little bit of drawings and whatnot.
Right.
And I have an art friend, an artist / teacher, art teacher, who always says, you don't know until you start. You know, don't say you can't, because everyone started somewhere.
We all started, yeah. Exactly.
And so, what's your best advice for someone who wants to improve? with paintings particularly.
Practice every day. Every day, sit down. It's like a writer, same thing for writers. They sit down every day. Stephen King sits down and does 6 pages. The 6 pages might not amount to anything, but he sits down and does that. It's a discipline. So you just sit down, even if you're not feeling like it. You sit down and you might mess with the colors a little bit on the canvas. You might adjust your canvas a little bit. And about 10 minutes later, for me, I'm in it. I'm ready to go. So I think it's the act of, it's discipline and practice. That's what it is.
And I'm sure there's probably something that you worked on to get to where you were.
Yeah, 20 years. Yeah, I've been in this.
Faces are hard. I don't know.
There's rules. There's laws. There's rules. I mean, you got the nose line starts with the bottom of the ear. So you've got all these what do you call them? Lines or plumb lines that you would just draw across the face. So you often you'll find the nose, the brow, and the mouth you'll find later between the two of the chin and the bottom of the nose.
Mine's usually just a circle with dots and a smiley face.
Yeah.
So then, where can we find your work? Do you have a website? Are you at local festivals?
My website is right now. It's under construction. I'm on Facebook and I have an email address.
Okay.
As far as
do you have a shop anywhere?
No, I have a studio.
A studio.
Yeah, I have a studio. Yep.
Okay.
My studio is at my house. That's where it is right now.
Okay.
It's always been at my house, but it's a great way to kind of walk down the stairs and get to town.
All right. Well, I appreciate you joining us. That's all the time we have today for today's edition of 101. Bobby, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching One on One. Be sure to tune in next week for another edition.